The internet was abuzz over a video of a bear with a fish in its mouth that found its way to YouTube. Predictably wondered what if woolies were still around, but there hasn't been a sighting for over 100 years. In the 20th century, that seems a little odd considering the woolly died over 4,000 years ago apparently. Passenger pigeons used to number in the billions. John James Audubon once watched a flock fly overhead for 3 days, 30 million pigeons per hour. That's a lot of birds, but the problem with there being so many is that they were so easy to hunt. Hunters, loss of habitat, and infectious diseases contributed to their eventual extinction. Efforts to maintain a small flock failed because the birds were so used to living in large groups. The last passenger pigeon, named Martha, died in the Cincinnati Zoo in 1914, 7 years after the passenger pigeon officially became extinct in the wild. A few were reportedly spotted by a fairly reputable person, the U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt. In 1907, while the Alderman country, the first environmental president who certainly knew his animal species, claimed he saw a small flock. Nowadays, some occasionally see birds that look a lot like the passenger pigeon. There are actually two types of Japanese wolves, the Honshu wolf and the Hokkaido wolf. The Japanese wolf met its demise in the same way that many other animals did, in the hands of an American, for being such a pest to livestock. A man named Edwin Dunn, hired by a Japanese, dropped a little strychnine and greatly facilitated their downfall. The Honshu died off in 1905 and the Hokkaido in 1889. Despite being dead, a Japanese wolf managed to turn up in 1910 and 1930s, and again in the 1950s. If that wasn't enough, there have also been sightings in the 1990s. One theory is that the animals seen and heard howling are actually wolf-dog hybrids. That's certainly possible, but they are a breeding population. Or is it most likely that the Japanese wolf is indeed still roaming the Japanese countryside? The Mexican grizzly bear ranged from Mexico to as far north as Colorado. It is widely believed that the last was killed in Mexico in 1960. They were officially declared extinct in 1964. Yet Mexican grizzlies continue to be spotted. The North American grizzly is found much further north, but the southern Colorado has a very few credible sightings. There is an uptick in sightings of grizzlies in the former Mexican grizzly range. There are definitely grizzlies in those parts. The only question is whether there's Mexican grizzlies. A 1979 study, 15 years after the extinction date, showed evidence of grizzlies, claw marks and footprints in Mexico. The study also established that remote Mexico was a suitable habitat for grizzly bears. The Javen tiger was found on the Indonesian island of Java. Fittingly enough, hunting is the main reason why Javen tigers died off. When you're the only one on the island and you're being hunted, there's only so far you can go. The last official sighting of the animal occurred in 1976. However, they were allegedly captured throughout the 1980s. An exhaustive search in the mid-1990s led to a 1994 declaration that the Javen tigers were extinct, until someone saw them a year later. In 1995, a Javan forester accidentally discovered a group of Javen tigers. Sighting continued throughout the first decade of the 2000s. In the Miro Batiri National Park, the site of the last confirmed sighting seems to be the most likely spot of their survival. Activist Yu Giri is still finding evidence of the tiger from hair to scat. He firmly believes that the Javan tiger is alive. Of all the extinct animals, the Javan tiger is probably the most likely to still be around.
Let's have a